only one decision away from a totally different life. Just one. It may be big, it may seem simple, but it can change your world. What is your one decision? Remember that indecision is a decision. Inaction is an action. Purposeful decisions allow you to have control over the direction you go. Make that one purposeful decision and see where it takes you. Thank you for joining the One Decision podcast. This is Dr. Connie Swain with my friend Bethann Richard. Hello, Bethann.
Good morning, Connie. It's so good to be here with you.
Oh, I'm excited. This will be fun. This will be fun. So before I get started in this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. That will increase the reach, but especially this one. When you hear the topic, you will want to share this one with your friends. But before I get started, let me go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for my friend. Lord, I thank you that you brought her into my life and we've become such dear friends. Lord, I pray for those who listen to this, touch their heart through her story, and encourage them to step out and make their one decision. In Jesus' precious and holy name I pray. Amen. So, Bethann, so I want to give a little bit of an introduction and let you talk about who you are, what you do. You are an RN. And
yes,
you have a background in nursing. You've got a lot of other letters behind your name, but I'll let you talk about that. And also, you have a dream for an organization called Heart of Town. But first, talk about your background, and then we'll get in, and your background and your family, and then we'll get into Heart of Town in a moment.
Okay. So I am smack dab in the middle of 7 children growing up. The one in my family that actually did dream and went on to college and graduated from nursing school just a few years after I married. Started out in critical care nursing, which was awesome. I learned so much in that arena. Burned out on that pretty quickly and made the jump into providing services to people with disabilities. And that was just my heart and soul. I loved every minute of every job that I had in that field and learned so much along the way. But actually did a clinical when I was in nursing school at a pregnancy center. We had to do a community nursing assignment, and I chose a pregnancy center in our area and went and visited there, and just really had such a heart for the ministry that they did, and knew that at some point in time I wanted to go through that. But at that time was dealing with my own infertility issues, and ended up adopting 2 children, and then at the age of 43, finding out that I was pregnant for the first time.
Isn't
And
that the way
giving
it
birth at the
goes?
age of 44. So God had to do some healing in my life before I could get into that arena and actually be effective. So it was my daughter was about 4 years old, and an opportunity came up to start volunteering that quickly turned into nurse management within the pregnancy center arena. And just recently stepped out of that, and but it was during that time that God actually gave me the dream for community clinic work. And so my kids are now, the older 2 are now grown adults, and my youngest is a 17-year-old fixing to be a senior in high school. So
Wow.
Life is good.
That's amazing. So real quick, if you can, what is a pregnancy center? It dawned on me, some people may not know what that is.
So pregnancy centers are typically privately owned nonprofit organizations that reach out to women who are in crisis pregnancy situations and help them know all of the facts about abortion, adoption, and parenting a child, and then partner with them to help them kind of get established in that parenting decision if that's the route they go. They also help with enabling them to reach out to adoption agencies if they choose to place their child for adoption. And then they also offer recovery for those women who go ahead through the abortion process and then realize later that they need some help in dealing with that. So multifaceted organizations that do amazing, amazing work. I'm so proud of
Yeah.
the work that we did.
Yeah.
Um, I, and being able to be the first eyes to see a woman's child in her womb and see her make that realization that this is a life, this is a baby, was such amazing work.
Yes. So you are a sonographer. So explain
Hmm.
that title and then how that came about and exactly what that means.
So in the pregnancy center work, I I did sonography. Nurses can be trained to do sonogram on a limited basis. But in order to train others to do the same thing that I was doing, you have to be certified as a registered diagnostic medical sonographer. And so I went through that training. That took about 2.5 years to complete. I had to take a physics exam, which
Good heavens.
nurses are not physicists. I'm sorry. So that was I tell people I'm more proud of the RDMS initials than the RN because that was really hard work. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but was able to complete that certification and have maintained that over the years. And
It's awesome.
so, yeah,
And so you've gotten to train, which
yeah,
not only are you the first eyes to see the child, you're also getting to train others to be those first eyes. I love that.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Heart of Town and how the idea came about, the dream came about, and how you came up with the name.
Well, that was all just a God thing. I don't even know where the name came from, but let me start with where we came up with the idea. I had just left the pregnancy center and was in that kind of uncertain phase of what the next right step was, and was volunteering for an organization here locally doing some disaster relief during the tornadoes in Jacksboro. And the director of that ministry and I were just having a conversation, and he mentioned the possibility of a clinic. And it was an instant download from the Lord of what that would look like. And I'd had some background as a patient of a charitable clinic and some friends who um, had worked or volunteered at charitable clinics. And so, and then in the pregnancy center, we often saw girls that didn't have insurance, needed to file for Medicaid, and didn't really get a good um, early prenatal experience because of the wait time. And so the idea had occurred to me a couple of times during that process, but we never really were able to make anything happen with that. So when Paul and I were talking about a clinic, it was just an instant download of all of the possibilities of what that could look like and how it could go. And it was really, really a neat experience in that. So, took off running with it, had to kind of do some restructuring, get some good foundation underneath us to move forward with all of that. And in that process, I don't know, the name just, there were so many other names that came to me, and I'd look up on the internet, and there'd already be existing ministries with that name and different things. And I just kept hearing the Lord say Heart of Town, Heart of Town. And so
Well, and I
that's what it is.
yeah, and I remember early on you said you wanted it to be in the middle of town, in
Yeah.
town. And so
I
when you came up with that name, I loved it. I thought it was perfect.
yeah. I really want it to be the heart of town. I want it to be a place of community and safety for people. And um, that's a lot of where health starts, is when you feel safe and secure in your environment and you have people that you trust and can communicate with. That's the building blocks of health. And so that's where we want to start.
That
And
is
that's why our our mission, our tagline is, health and body, mind, and spirit. So
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk real quick about who you will serve. Who, a charitable clinic could mean a lot of different things, but who
Right.
will you serve?
So our mission is to serve those persons who have no insurance or may have insurance, but it's one of those plans that has really high deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses and may only cover things like hospitalization and catastrophic care. And then they do have to fall below 250% of the federal poverty level, which for a family of four right now, the federal poverty level is $78,000.
And
The
I'm
median income in Wise County is 75,000.
wow.
So there's a need, there's a huge need for this in our county, just based on that number alone.
And we don't
So
have one here, right?
we don't, we don't. There there's kind of an I-35 corridor of charitable clinics, and then there's a few that branch out just a little bit further than that. And there's a few in Denton, there's one in Granbury, but west of that, until you get out to the bigger metropolitan areas like El Paso and Wichita Falls, there's not any.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. So what kind of services? Oh, I'll tell you what, talk about what you do now and what
Okay.
where you want to go with this.
So right now we're in that fundraising period of time. Obviously this is going to take money. And so we're working on raising the funds for that. But in that time frame, we're also doing just some community outreach events like blood pressure screenings, flu shot clinics, just some different things along those lines to get out in the community and make people aware of the fact that we're there and that we are concerned about their health, and to try and help them get the care that they may need now until we have a location and a fully operating clinic. Once we have the location and fully operating clinic, we hope to be able to provide all kinds of services. I have a pediatrician who's interested in providing. I have a couple of nurse practitioners that can do OBGYN, family medicine, and those kinds of things. So, and then hopefully we'll just have providers that can offer an array of services along those lines. It'll be more geared towards the acute illnesses like, you know, flu, strep, those kinds
Right.
of things.
It's more
And
of
some of the
like a
more
minor emergency clinic kind of thing, right?
kind of like that, yeah. Until I mean, if we have the possibility of adding specialty services, I'm fully open to that, that may be further down the line.
Mhm.
But in the immediate opening phase, it would be more of the acute illnesses and family medicine type of stuff, and then management of the more chronic things like diabetes, blood pressure, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's so great. That is
yeah.
so cool. Well, like God's already given you some of the equipment. I mean, it was a miracle.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
talk about what could happen soon.
So we are in talks with an organization here in Bridgeport that has some open space to lease, and hopefully, prayerfully, that will all fall into place, and we'll have a location in the pretty much center of Bridgeport, and we'll be able to open a clinic very soon.
That is
So I'm
awesome.
excited about that.
That is
Uh,
so cool.
all all along this process, God has just opened doors and place stuff in our laps. And I could give you story after story after story of that happening, and this was no exception. It just kind of fell into place,
Um,
and they knew immediately, and I knew immediately, and it's just a really good fit. Can't wait to tell you who it is, but I'm going to wait just a little while longer until we have some more concrete things in place.
That's great. So also, I know that very early on, you were connected with Texas Health Resources. Talk about
Yes.
that and their vision, how they operate with health care.
Okay, so yes, Texas Health Resources, those are some more of the initials behind my name. I'm actually a certified faith community nurse. And so I went through that program with Texas Health Resources. It is a community outreach arm of their services. and they are very interested in being a part of what we're doing and coming alongside us and helping us in that process. So, and faith, what faith community nursing is just it's nursing that's born out of the desire to help people. And healthcare has in America has gotten a long ways away from that. It's where I started in nursing, and over the course of time have just seen where healthcare is more about taking medicine and alleviating disease, where true health is that balance of body, mind, and spirit. And community nursing goes back to that balance in people with people. And so a lot of them work within their congregations, and they provide nursing services to their congregants in their church. I just have kind of taken it to a more broad level, to incorporate multiple churches and be able to serve people across our community rather than just in my congregation.
Yeah. And I know that when you do these clinics, they come alongside and help bring the
Yes,
resources for the clinics.
yes,
I love how you had taken me to a dinner and I found out that they are so strong in making sure that people's faith is included in their care. And of course,
yes.
you are a Christian, you're very
Hmm.
strong in your faith, and this was born out of that faith to see
Hmm.
people not only get healthy or they're taken care of medically, but to
Hmm.
see their faith brought into it because that's what helps bring complete healing,
Yes,
right?
yes. And there have been a number of studies done over the course of the years that I've been a nurse that point to the fact that a person who has faith and prays and has other people praying for them and is surrounded by that community of believers, their health outcomes far exceed people who don't have that. And
Yeah.
so, part of my desire with this clinic is for people who come in who are not surrounded by that faith community become a part of that and actually walk in better health because they have um, that faith background surrounding them.
Wow, that is so good. Well,
Hmm.
I'm really excited about that, and I know you've got a board, so you already have the
Hmm.
organizational structure in place.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I love that on the board is a pastor, and there's another gentleman
Hmm.
that's like an associate pastor, I believe. And
Hmm.
so you've got a very strong board, but y'all have a
Hmm.
big event coming up, right?
Yes.
So talk
Yes.
about that.
I'm super excited about that. So we are going to launch our first feature fundraiser. It's going to be called Breakfast at Tiffany's, and it's all the things Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I love it.
Um, Deborah Workman, who is an amazing woman in our community, is going to prepare the food for us, and she has an excellent menu, and her food is always amazing. So for that reason alone, I would encourage you to come. But we're going to have just all kinds of fun stuff. We're going to have silent auction, and we're going to have music that goes along with the soundtrack of the movie, and um, the decorations, the whole Central Park kind of theme, and maybe a few characters from the movie. I don't know yet,
I love it.
but it's just going to be a lot of fun. So we're kind of launching that this week. I have the packets ready to go out for underwriting to different businesses and individuals, and then we'll be posting some more information on that soon. With the invitations for people to attend and all that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And that's going to be in October, correct?
Going to be October 5th, and
Okay.
it will be at the Bridgeport Community Center at 10 o'clock.
That
So,
is awesome. That's going to
yeah,
be so much fun. That will be
I
a fun fundraiser.
I think it's just going to be amazing.
And you've got a
So,
great team helping you, so I know it's gonna
yes,
be awesome. That is
yeah,
that is so, so cool. Well, I
uh-huh,
know, when you first shared your vision with me for this organization, we were both so excited. And
hmm,
I know, and you know, besides the clinic, I know you do education as well. But
hmm,
what are all the things you had told me before? what are all the things you see that eventually you do want to have available when someone walks into the clinic? What are all the things you want to have available?
Oh gosh. So we do want to have a classroom available to provide education, support groups for those people who do have things like diabetes that, you know, um, it just helps to have a community of people that are struggling with the same thing and can help each other in. With diabetes, it's really hard to stay on track with diet unless you have some community and some support. So we want to be able to offer those kinds of things. We want to be able to do classes on um, Alzheimer's care for those people who are walking that path with a loved one. We want to be able to offer, planning for end of life for people who are in that phase. That's a big thing that people don't really have a whole lot of knowledge about what they need to have in place in
Yeah.
the event that they come to that place in their life. So just a lot of things. Yeah, I'd love to see us provide um, walking groups in the park
Oh,
and,
yeah.
just a sense of community when you
Yeah.
walk in the door. I want
Not
people
just
to
a
come
doc.
in and feel like they're home.
Yeah, it's not just a
And
doctor's office, you know?
right. But
Yeah.
then, to be able to provide those services as well, so that
Yeah.
we do have that complete continuum of health throughout the lifespan.
Well, and one of the things, I can't remember the name of it. It's Wise Health something, right? That it's got the database. So do you know what I'm talking about?
The Unitas platform.
Okay, so talk about that.
So that is offered through Healthy Wise County, which is the community outreach arm of what was Wise Health Services. It's now that under the name of Healthy Wise County. Heather Beal heads that up. She's amazing. I love her. Um, and so they have partnered with the Unitas platform, and that is it's a software tool that we can go into if someone has a need. Say they come into the clinic and they need health care, but we in our conversations with them find that they may need help with rent, or they may need help with their utility bills or
Oh, okay.
food or any of those things.
Okay.
We can get on that Unitas platform and send a request out to multiple organizations, and then one of those organizations can pick that up and provide that need for them, and then we can follow up and know that that need has been met. We're not just sending them out there to find it on their own in all these different locations. So I love that we have that available in our county. There are a lot of organizations that are already using it and using it well. So when we open up, we'll be able to jump in on that as well.
And there's a lot of different services provided through that, like, right?
Yes,
The
yes,
organizations provide just a variety of service.
yes. And
So,
we do have so many amazing organizations in our county that just want to help people.
yeah,
But a lot of times they're not known
yeah.
because, for a nonprofit, advertising is not a big part of our budget. So so
Yeah.
being able to have this platform where we're all kind of together and can send out a request for help for anything. Early childhood intervention is on there, and they are an amazing organization for those parents who have young children that may need Head Start services or help with determining if that child has a disability and those kinds of things. The Texas AgriLife Extension is on there, and they do an amazing job with education and help with like teaching people how to garden and grow their own produce. And wow, what health benefit there is to that. So we just have such a huge base of organizations that do amazing work in our community. And
Awesome.
Unitas lets us all be part of the same group.
That is
So
great. That is so good. So good.
yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you feel like you want to share? And if not, that's okay.
Oh gosh. I can talk about this all day long,
Yes, I know.
but I don't want to bore people to death. So
No,
I'll,
that's
I'll
okay. Well, you do. What needs do you have right now? Financial, obviously, and people can
Yes.
donate through your website, and I'll have a link in the
Hmm.
description. But what other,
Hmm.
like, what other kind of needs may you have?
Well, we're always looking for a good volunteer base, people to provide health care services that can be anywhere from, a specialist, doctor, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, nurses, LVNs, RNs, either, any range of nursing skill. We need people who can work in the office. We need people who can provide spiritual counseling, because that's going to be a really big focus for what we're doing. Um, for people that come in that, um, just to sit down with them and talk with them about where they're at in their faith, and pray with them and those kinds of things. We're probably going to need people who can do construction work, pretty soon, hopefully. Um, we may need donations of materials
Oh,
for
yeah.
that, and oh gosh,
Well, and
just all kinds of stuff.
eventually, I know, eventually, once you're able to see clients and that kind of thing, or patients, I should say, I was thinking about like Wise Choices will have, they offer formula and diapers and wipes, and
Hmm.
something. You might even have a need for those kind of donations. Not now because there's no storage,
Hmm.
but later
Right,
on,
right.
you might have
Yeah,
those kind of things.
yeah,
I know that even at Wise Choices, y'all have had people make and donate blankets. And I thought, oh,
yes,
like if y'all have
yeah.
patients that may need a blankie. So,
Well, and the beauty of this is the partnerships that I've developed along the way. And Wise Choices is an amazing resource. They do phenomenal work in our community. And, for those young moms that come into us, that will absolutely be my first referral source is go take classes, go get educated in
yes,
parenting, go, and
yes.
then they do get to be able to provide that material assistance to them as well. Leaves out a big chunk of having to store that on
Yeah,
my
for
own,
you.
and you know
Yeah,
and like I said, they already do an amazing job with their classes, so I would absolutely partner
part,
with them to refer, and vice versa, because if we're going to be able to offer prenatal care for those young moms before they get into Medicaid or have the money to see a doctor, then they would be able to refer those girls to me, because I know there were a lot of times that we saw girls that were 20 weeks and really struggling even to get into a doctor because they hadn't been seen yet, and now there's a lot of liability on the doctor's part, and they're like, nope, we can't see you if you're past 20 weeks. So there's a lot of girls that get caught in that dilemma,
yeah.
and so we want to be able to bring them in, provide them with prenatal vitamins, provide them with some early prenatal care to improve their outcomes in the long term. So there will definitely be a lot of partnerships with Wise Choices in
That's
that. So
great. That is so
yeah.
good. Well, it has been such a pleasure to talk to you. This
You too. Thank
we
you for doing this.
Oh, no, I loved it. I loved it. So I'm gonna, why don't you go ahead and lead us in prayer and I'll
Okay.
close us out, okay?
Okay. Father God, I just thank you so much for this day. I thank you for Connie and all that she does for our community. And I thank you for allowing us this time just to visit and talk about the heart, the part of town, and the vision for this ministry. And I pray, Lord, that you would provide everything that we need. And Lord, I pray that you would bless Connie in all of the work that she does as well. And I thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Bethann. And thank
You're
you, my
welcome.
friend Bethann Richard with Heart of Town Clinic for joining me today. And thank y'all for listening. This is Connie Swain with the One Decision Podcast, and I'll see you next time.